Hello there. This is a supplementary video to the original project video. This is a capability demonstration. My name is Martin Hancock. As I say, it's a capability demonstration as far as the administrator is concerned and exactly what the students see when they're using the platform. So to remind ourselves, I've got the diagram of the system up. So essentially at the minute I'm on here, a student client, and I'm going to be accessing first the core server as far as the administrator is concerned to see what he or she can do, and then I'm going to access the client access server to showcase what the actual students can see and the type of things that they can do. Okay, first things first then, I'm going to connect to the administrator server, and that's done with remote desktop or RDP. Basically I put the IP address in, click connect, and that will connect over the network, so a bit of authentication. I've already logged on. I can do that, I can log on, set up my system, set up all my different administrative tools, and then disconnect, go away and come back at a later time. That's exactly what I've done here. It just makes it really speedy when you're reconnecting and disconnecting. So the first thing I'm going to show you is Server Manager. This is where the administrator can do all the core sort of Microsoft things. We've got Active Directory users and computers set up here. So you can see the organisational structure for the e-learning system there. There's a holding area OU which you can put computers or users in, and essentially what that does is stops any group policy being applied across them. Instructor computers, if we decide to add any in. Instructor user accounts, you can see that there's 3 there. Student computers, you can see there's only 1 in there at the minute. That just so happens to be the Windows 7 access client. The student user accounts are in there. Again, you can do the standard administrative things. Add into groups, disable accounts, enable accounts, change passwords, all that sort of thing. So that's the OU structure, and as far as that's part's concerned. DHCP is running and installed. However, the scope is actually deactivated at this point. It's not required as there's another DHCP server on the network. If for any reason the system went completely standalone, then it's a case of enabling this scope, and it will serve out the IP addresses that are configured. It just so happens here, it just so happens to be 192.168.1.0/24, but that could be changed to any IP address range that you wish. The scope options are set as well as per that particular subnet. Going into DNS, DNS is installed. It's a core part of having a domain controller, and that's all set up and all ready to go. All the A records have, or it looks like they've automatically sorted themselves out, but again, you could add manual A records in there for whatever reason. We've got disk quoting installed on here. Just going to the disk quoters there. Essentially, the reason behind this was each student has their own data storage area essentially on the server, so they can download files and upload them and leave them there. Problem was, what I didn't want to happen was that to just fill up with loads and loads of data and then run out of space. So I put disk quotient in there, and what essentially will happen is if the data gets to a certain threshold, it will actually email the administrator and all the students to say disk quoting is, it's getting to a certain point. It's a warning essentially. You need to start deleting some of the content from the shared area, or your own personal area. So that was the reason behind disk quoting. I thought it was a pretty good idea to implement. Then we've got IIS running, or the Internet Information Services. You can see there's the main eLearn website there. There's a couple of websites there that form part of the Exchange solution. There is another web server running, but I'll come to that a little bit later on. Group policy, so this is where you can do your group policy management. You can see there's the e-learning group policy object there, and you can see its settings at a glance, relatively easy. So there's only just the one settings here at the minute. That one's ensuring that every time you open up Internet Explorer on the client server, you always get redirected to the home page. You notice it's got a socket of 8080 as well. That's to keep that website away from Exchange and any other websites that may get installed on the main website. So that's the sort of main Microsoft Active Directory administration piece. Moving on, this is the software that you can change the website, change the content, remove links, add content, all that sort of thing. It's intentionally very, very simple to use because not everybody's a web programmer, so I just want to make it nice and easy. So for example, you can see I've got hello course. I can put anything I want in there. I can put word test for sake of an argument for now. It's quite easy to change the text. You just save, and then all you do to publish is you go into File, Publish Site, and just publish it to the disk folder. You can either publish everything again or just the page that you've changed. Obviously I'm just going to change the index page, and I can just leave that running. I think that's done, so it's relatively easy to do, and we should see the results of that when we connect to the client. So I'll just minimize that down. Moving on, this is the virtualization platform, Oracle VirtualBox. You could have many virtuals in here. The actual resources of the server are pretty good. It's got 16 gig of RAM in it. It's only using just shy of 9 gig, so there is scope to expand even more with even more virtuals. No problem at all. You see the processor usage is very low. Currently there's a couple of VMs running. We have a product called Metasploitable 2, which is a very, very vulnerable Linux distribution of lots of open ports, and that can be used as a target to scan or do vulnerability testing against. There's also a Windows XP client as well. Again, it's just standard XP, no service packs, and this can be used by the students to be scanned or vulnerability scanned or any type of exercise that they may have that requires them to connect to an XP machine and do certain things. So that's the virtualization platform. Moving on, this is the OpenFire Admin console. This is the chat administrator panel essentially. You can see when students are logged on. As you can see there, student 01 is actually logged on at the moment, as well as instructor 1. I've got the client running on here as well, and this is what the chat client looks like. Okay, they can start a chat with other users, join a conference room. I've actually set up a conference room here, so I could join that selected room. As you can see, I've joined that room now, and I could chat away quite merrily to any other users that come into that room. Okay, so that's that particular bit. I can think I'd show the desktop as well, and some other little bits and pieces. It's a really, really good chat client, very, very light, and open source as well, which was most definitely a bonus. Moving on, this is the Exchange Administration Center, so the administrator can look at mailboxes, delete, create, all that sort of thing. And this is a new thing for Microsoft. Previous to 2013 Exchange, it was all done via a little MMC snap-in. It's all done via the web now, and actually it's relatively easy to navigate around. Okay, so it's a fully functioning Exchange 2013 server as well, providing mail services, calendars, all that sort of thing. Okay then, what else have I got? I've got my own mailbox as well that I can connect to. Let's click on that. So that's my mail, or the administrator mailbox. Again, it's all web driven, so there was no need to install any email clients. And there's also a vulnerability scanning server running on here. It takes a little while to fire up actually, so I'll move on. I might be able to get that on the client a bit easier. Okay, so that's essentially what the administrator can do. Lots of administrator type functions. So what I'll do is I'll leave that session running, and all I do is just disconnect from RDP. Gives me a little warning to say everything still runs, and I can disconnect. Now I'll move on and show you what the students can see. So it's a slightly different IP. I'm going to connect to student 01. I've already connected as that student, so their session should be already up and running. Okay. So what can the students see? Well, they get a Windows 7 environment, which is good. Say that they've got their own storage area, which is here. This is the actual storage area on the server. I was talking about the one that's got the quota in set, so they can store whatever they want on there, documents, anything that they download, can be stored in there quite easily. This is the Spark client as far as the student's concerned. Again, very, very similar, or exactly the same thing essentially as the administrator have got. And they have the ability to join conferences as well, so I'll just join that selected room. And you can see the instructors in there as well. and you could add multiple students in there and they could all tap away to each other. Okay, so you can have a conference, or they can leave messages or anything like that. Okay, so it works pretty well. We've also got OpenOffice installed on here. Okay, nice open source tool where they can create their own text documents, spreadsheets, presentations, all that sort of stuff. Okay, open source, free to download and install. I thought that would be useful for students if they wanted to create their own documents or any presentations or anything like that. A couple of the applications that are in here that are important. We've got Wireshark, which allows them to do network monitoring and all that sort of thing. So that's all installed for them. There's a little bit of traffic going on there. Okay, that's part of the course. They will have to use Wireshark to do some network listening. So just close that one down. I've put Visio 2013 on here. This is especially useful because one of the exercises is they go off and create a network diagram. Essentially, so they can use Visio and drag and drop and create their own little network diagrams. They can save it down to a USB device that I can plug into the front of the server, and then we can use these network plans that they've done as part of the lessons. Finally, there's another tool on here called Nmap, which is a network scanner. Again, it's part of the course. They can use this tool to scan the network or scan them virtuals, because them virtuals are presented to the network for the student to scan. And then finally, we've got all the web content. So I'll just give that a quick refresh. There you go. You can see now I'm pulling the website from the main server. There was the little edit that we did. So there's a little bit of information about don't attack the e-learning infrastructure. We've got links to the content. We use Prezi to deliver, and because we can't embed them into the website, what we have to do is download the Prezis from Prezi and then zip them up, and that's how they're delivered to the student. They essentially, all they do is download a zip file, which I'm doing now. Excuse me. Okay, it says on a slightly slow network segment because we've got 10 meg hubs. Again, that's part of the architecture. Okay, so that's quite a fairly big size. I'll just let that run in a second. I'll go into useful links, show you what we've got there. They can go into their email from here, so that opens up the Outlook web app as far as the student's concerned. We see that downloaded now. So I shall just open that. And there's the lesson content. So they can just do what they want. They can put that on the desktop, or they can copy that up into their shared area, and they can run that from wherever they like. So I'll just let that unpack. Just going back to the email. There we go. So again, they could just log on to get the mailbox. There's a little test email in there from me. They've got a calendar in there. All sorts of stuff. Okay, so that content's now downloaded. They run the Prezis, and these are little standalone Prezis that will give them the offline content essentially of the lessons. So I'll just open that up. It shouldn't take too long. Okay, here we go. So the only thing that won't work in these are the videos, because they require internet, and as it's seen, there is no internet connectivity for the system. And there they go. They've got the lesson content up now, and they can go through in their own time, making notes or revisiting slides that they weren't aware of, and then asking questions. And so forth. And then once they're done, they can either archive that into their own personal storage area, or they can just delete them, stick them in the recycle bin, whatever. There we go. And then they can just disconnect and reconnect at any other time. And that's essentially a proof of sort of capability of the system from, as I say, the administrator's point of view and from the student's point of view. Thank you very much.